Welcome to Hawk's Eye on Business. My name is Keith Hawk. In today's show, we welcome Jake Prichard as our featured guest. Jake's story will interest anyone who aspires to be a successful entrepreneur. His company, Picture Perfect LLC, is an American success story that rose from modest beginnings to its place today as a highly successful operation that covers 7 states and features over 100 custom booths that they regularly deploy across their target markets. Today, we will learn how Jake, along with his wife Jamie and his brother, created this powerhouse, and we will dive deeper into his business philosophies, strategies, and beliefs. The wedding industry is a $72 billion market where spending and cost become an emotional decision over practical considerations of the budget. Picture Perfect Booth Rentals is a Fairborn-based business started by young entrepreneurs Jake and Jamie Prichard. Picture Perfect has come up with a product, formula, and logistical way to capture and enhance the fun, experience, and memories from your events. Jake thinks he has figured out the right combination of great product, affordable price, and excellent customer service. Picture Perfect has over 766 cities, 13 states, and has managed over 6,000 events, typically receiving 5-star ratings. With 10 full-time employees and 50 part-time employees, Picture Perfect has experienced triple-digit growth over the past 5 years. With 115 and growing active booths and 7 different styles and options available to the public, Picture Perfect targets weddings, corporate events, and parties of all kinds. Jake and Jamie find themselves behind the wheel of a rapidly growing business. Today, we will dive into the issues of how to keep the business on track and stay ahead of the market, while trying to learn from how they have built a successful business from one booth to the thriving business that Picture Perfect is today. Jake, thank you for joining us today on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
That's quite a story about your business, but it wasn't always the powerhouse that it is today. Can you take us back to the humble beginnings of Picture Perfect Photo Booths, LLC?
Yeah, so it all started when my brother and I were in college. He was going for software engineering and I was going for business, looking for different opportunities, and we noticed that the mobile photo booth business was at the beginning of its life cycle. It was an industry just being born.
How old were you at this time?
I was about 21.
So you were just in your life cycle early stages too. Okay.
That's
great.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And we started with 2 booths and just grew from there. There's an opportunity with a growing demand, and there's an opportunity we couldn't pass on, so we just kept running with it.
Okay, good. And I take it you probably in the earliest days did all the work yourselves. You had maybe some college colleagues or friends that you brought into the business as needed?
Yep, that's right.
So you were an employer early?
Early on, yep.
Okay, very good. You chose not to go the franchise route. You started your own thing. And that's great in a lot of ways. In other ways, it makes it tougher for you. You didn't have established systems, processes, tools, equipment. You had to create everything. How did that go? How did you get started and get rolling in the buildup that's necessary to start something from scratch rather than the franchise route?
Yeah, that's a good point. There is always, not always, but in this particular situation, there was a couple franchise opportunities. It was a lot harder. Like you said, you got to build your software system, the database system, the automated computing, all from the ground up, along with the managing, the training, the logistics, all of the maintenance, and it was a lot harder, but it positions us now in a better position because we can keep growing, keep expanding to new markets without paying out that extra profitability or that profit sharing, or we don't have a. So it had its challenges, but it has a lot of benefits that we did it this way. I think it was a perfect storm because we had, we got a great sales lead up from the start. We had a great software engineer, my brother. We had a great, my wife is great from the accounting and the finance, keeping track of everything, along with managing and training. So we had the perfect employees, the perfect team. Couldn't do it without them.
Yeah. Well, let's stay on the employees for a second. The key people in your business, and though there are more certainly, but the key people in your business are family members, a wife, a brother. And how is it when the people that are the most important element in your business on a day-to-day basis are also those people that are closest to you? Does it have its ups and downs? Is it always great? Tell us about that a little bit.
I'd say it has its pros and cons. The pro is that, of course, it adds an extra meeting, an extra value to work. You're not just going and doing the daily grind. You're not only building your future, but you're building with the people that are most valuable and most, that are most valuable to you.
Sure.
And it adds a
them,
meaning to
right?
it. Yeah, you love them. And the con is, well, sometimes you have to sharpen the communication skills to make sure that not everyone is happy and that everyone's on the same page, because it can be easy, like any kind of human interaction. Communication is key. It is the core of relationships. So.
Well, it sounds like you very much operate as a team, as a tight team. Is there ever an issue of that someone has to be in charge and running the show, or are you guys able to kind of stay in your lanes? How does that work?
Try to stay in our lanes, delegate tasks to what we do the best. Each individual has their own tasks that they deal with, and luckily it sounds like a simple business, but there's a lot of complications and a lot of operations, so everyone tends to have their own lane, as you said.
Okay. What's it like to set up a booth? I'm interested in some of the metrics, how many people come through and utilize in a typical wedding or bar mitzvah or big family event. What's some of the quantities and things you measure? Because I would think there'd be some variability. Can you kind of flavor it for us, of describe an event in some detail of what really takes place and some of that background that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say the average event, the event hero will come to the office, pick up the equipment, bring it to the event. All kinds of locations that some of the events are in, either downtown, at the big skyscrapers, and they'll have trouble finding parking, but we'll find it. We leave 2 hours early before our setup even starts, so we make sure that we're there on time. Get lots of cushion time, because you never know what's going to happen on the way. You get a traffic jam, car accident, who knows?
Good habit, yeah.
So so on the day of the event, we have managers and staff in office ready to solve any put out any fires that could possibly arise. The event hero comes, pick up the equipment, brings it to the event, sets it up. There's an average of, I'd say 125 pictures per event, and usually there's 4 pictures on each photo strip, so there's about 500 pictures taken. I'd say how many are printed? That's a good question on average. It'd be a good statistic to have, because average is 125 pictures. I'd say 4 people in each picture.
And the multiplier effect has to be huge with everybody sharing the files electronically.
Absolutely. At the end of the event hero will hand over to the host, usually the bride and groom or a birthday person or whoever the main center of attention is for the event, gets a memory album with all the images and actually signatures next to the images.
Nice
along
touch.
With, yeah, absolutely. The clients really love it, along with either a flash drive or a CD, depending on which one the client requested. And so after all that's over and they wrap up the event, average event's usually about 4 hours long. Event hero breaks the equipment down and brings it back. We have a handful of different kinds of equipment. We have this big old LED booth that actually inflates, and it looks like a giant igloo, if you will.
Okay.
And we have a magic mirror, which is a mirror, and the software on it's pretty neat. It like compliments and comments and flashes around like I want to say like a genie, but I don't know if that quite describes it. And we have the open air and the Hollywood effect for different kinds of booths, depending on what the client requested and what matches the event the most, really.
Do you bring the costume kind of elements as well?
Yeah, that's a good, sorry, can't believe I forgot that. So we come with a 6-foot by 3-foot table full of, we shoot for 100 props, so sometimes props, damaged and get thrown away, and then we have to refurbish them. So roughly about 100 props, a 6-foot by 3-foot table, which the guests eat up. It's definitely a huge hit. Everyone dresses up from pirates to Wonder Woman to Batman to Iron Man to Princess. They love it. It really adds energy. It's real fun to see a person that's serious, and you would never see act silly, dress up like Bob Marley and put Wonder Woman on his wife and act all silly.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to get to those challenges in the business in a second. But before we do that, let's talk about your customers for a minute. When you think about the core purpose of your business, what is the value that someone that comes to you or you go to, if you find them to do business with you, what is it that they're really seeking? What do they get from you? I mean, I know they're taking, there's pictures at a wedding or at another event, but what are you really selling?
Yeah, so what we're selling is a great time for their guest at their milestone, their life event. So the majority of these events that we go to are weddings, graduations, bar mitzvahs, retirement parties, big life milestones.
Now, I'm suspecting when you got started, the idea of a photo booth at a wedding or some other event, the output might have been a piece of photo paper with a photograph on it. Now, that's not necessarily the case today, is it?
So today, you don't only get your prints, unlimited prints for everyone, but we also have the option of, after they take their picture, prints out the pictures, they can send a gift to their phone, they can send the pictures to Facebook, Twitter, email, or even text it, Facebook.
Okay, yeah, and they're getting it almost real time, right, as it happens. So there's stuff happening on social media as the event is still taking place, be it the wedding or whatnot.
Definitely. We even offer a Instagram printer. So as people take pictures at the event, they'll hashtag and Instagram the pictures, and the computer and printer picks it up and prints it out with the hashtag on it. So it's pretty neat.
Nice innovation.
A lot of innovation, yeah.
So the growth has been, as we said in the introduction, triple-digit growth for the last several years. That's over 100% each year. So obviously you're growing leaps and bounds. How have you found your customers? How have they found you? Can you tell us a little bit about that marketing interactivity?
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to keep growing, we have to not only be in a market that we hope is growing, but eat away as the market share. Which the primary area there is digital marketing, digital advertising, SEO, being on top of Google and all the other search engines, mainly Google. There's also Bing and Yahoo, but primarily, if you're on top of Google for all the areas that you serve, it's great. Also having high quality and a lot of value added to the customer base allows word of mouth and return customers.
Okay. How did you do it in the beginning? How you began with one booth. I'm interested in the growth pattern, how it took place. So can you just walk us through a little bit about the early days and then how you said, oh my gosh, I'm onto something big here. How did that get going? Describe it a bit for us.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it's pretty common sense, but I guess it's not. You know?
We don't know about it, yeah.
So we started with one booth and we had so much demand that you just had to keep building onto it.
Where did the demand come from? How did they find you?
Online, digital advertising. Google search engines. Anyone, say that you need a landscaper or a plumber or a roof fixer or any kind of service that you need, you're going to be Googling it first. I mean, you may know someone that knows someone, but you're still going to Google it, and that's a big pusher.
So you said SEO earlier, a term I know is search engine optimization. What do you do for your business to pop up early in the search results when someone is looking for a photo booth experience at their life event?
What do we do for it?
Yeah, how do you make that happen? Describe the SEO or search engine optimization a bit. I don't quite understand the terms and what you do so that you guys pop up there early on.
Google's the beast it is today, the juggernaut it is today, because it has these unknown magical equations, and it's very complex to be on there. You got to have good quality. You got to have stuff that can keep users engaged and that they like. It's I could go pretty deep. I don't know how deep you want to go into SEO.
So if I'm going to go out there and I'm having my mother-in-law's 95th birthday party and we want a booth and I go to Google and I type in photo booth, will I find you as I sit here in South Dayton, Ohio?
You'll find me if you're in Indianapolis, in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio. Not yet Cleveland. We're pushing into Cleveland, and we're pushing into Toledo. You'll find us #1 on Cincinnati. So yeah, absolutely.
Good town to be #1 in, yes, for sure. So I take it you have a financial arrangement with Google where you pay them. Can you tell us for the uninitiated viewer who doesn't do business with Google, how does that work? How do they get paid? How does it work for you?
Google's very complex. We have 2 in-house software engineers. We have graphic designers. We have contractors that specialize in cost per click for SEO. Myself, I've read tens of books, lots of books, to try to understand it better, because it's a deep subject. It's not just one magic wand and one magic button. It's It's a job.
So you're always tuning it.
Always tuning it, always pushing forward with it.
But we in the public, Google's free to us, right?
Definitely.
It's not free to you, I'm taking it, right?
So you can pay to be, I think it's like usually 1 or 2 on top, and the organic is below the ads.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, we try to, every city that we're not #1 organically in, pay for the ads. That way we show up. But it's a lot more expensive than organic.
So as you think about the big picture of your business, step back from it a little bit. Sometimes it's tough because we're working in the midst of everything around us and taking care of our customers, taking care of our facilities, our functions, our processes. But step back from it a little bit. And if you ask yourself this question, what few things about your business must absolutely go right for you to be successful in the coming near term short number of years? What are those few things that must go right for you to be successful?
So what must go well is, I have to continue to maintain the best team, and to have that team focused on great value added to the clientele, great service, high quality, at a low price.
I don't want to know the dollar figures, but can you give us a sense of how things work from a financial standpoint? Probably in the earliest days, I assume you just operated on cash, money in, money out to pay for things. I would assume as you grow as fast as you've grown, you must use the leverage of the banking system.
Oh, yeah.
So you're always financing growth to grow faster. Is that how it works with you?
Reinvesting completely, and taking on leverage as well.
Yeah.
And it's a roller coaster ride. It's going going fast.
And by the way, speaking of Google, to the viewers, as I was preparing for our time together, I did some searching myself on your business, and I see this beautiful article complete with several photographs of you and your wife featuring the business in the Dayton Daily News. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I know well, when you look at your business as it's evolved to this point, what are you most proud of? What really makes you say, wow, I feel good about this?
Well, the fast growth is always fun. I definitely pride in doing a good job. Everyone prides themselves. Being #1 in all the areas that we serve, being the premier photo booth service and where we serve is very prideful. I pride myself in the team because I definitely can't do it myself. There's only 40, maybe if you push yourself, 80 hours in a week. And
that's pushing yourself, yes.
And I can't do everything myself. I can't do everything ourselves. We have to have a good team behind us.
And the other thing I'll compliment you on is you literally created a job from scratch. And not just for yourself, for your wife, for your brother, and now for a good number of full-time people and a much broader number of part-time employees. You're literally an American success story out there creating opportunities, incomes for in people's lives. So whether you meant it or not early on, you're having an impact that goes far beyond what you could do just yourself with how you impact all of these other people. So that certainly is something to be proud of as well.
Thank you.
I just have one last question. And feel free to take it any place you want. Okay. As you look to the future, I assume you're not just going to stay the same. What can we expect as you and your business evolves going forward?
To grow into new industries, new services and products to be offered to the market, like equipment rentals for weddings and events. There's lots of equipment that gets rented out.
Yeah, not just photo booths.
Yeah,
you could
tables, chairs, tents, decorations, tablecloths, forks and knives, plates, or even DJ services would be a great way to expand. Yeah. So we can either take the areas that we serve now, our regions of service now, and expand our products and services, or we can branch off to new areas to serve at. One area, there's a big company in Florida that's for sale that we're looking. I'm actually going 2 days from now. We're going to fly down there and talk to someone in Miami, Florida. That has a company that's actually the same exact size as mine. We serve 1,900 events. Each of us, I serve about 1,800 events, depending on what point you're talking, because it's always growing.
Sure.
And he has it for sale, and I'm interested in it. We're also looking to maybe branch off to Pennsylvania. Over by, there's a city where it serves within our service area. It'd be served New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. So it's a huge population mass there. So either growth into new areas or new services and products to be offered.
Yeah, so acquisition can happen, expansion of the product line, service line can happen, but you've got this really solid base with the customers that come at you now, so it would make sense to expand your service lines. That sounds like you're being strategic, not just operating a business. You're being strategic, looking to the future. We really appreciate that. And that's it for today's episode of Hawk's Eye on Business. We want to really thank our guest, Jake Prichard, who told us his story of how they have taken this thing that started, I'm envisioning it in a dorm room in your university, and expanded it out now where there are literally thousands of events covered on an annual basis at people's most important lifetime compelling events, if you will, whether it be marriage, bar mitzvah, birthday party, and so forth. And so we appreciate you sharing that with us. We will continue in our quest to speak with America's great business leaders as we go forward with future episodes of Hawk's Eye on Business. Thank you so much for watching.